Hi everyone, my name is Trevon Adams and I'll be reviewing Case 22 E-Verify. Over the time of the presentation, I'll be going over the case overview, the ethical dilemmas, and discussing the three case questions. So the case overview. We'll be going over some key points in the case, U.S. laws regarding employment eligibility, the introduction of the I-9 form, what is E-Verify, how is E-Verify used, and some known limitations of the E-Verify system. So US laws require companies operating in the United States to only employ individuals legally permitted to work in the United States. To be legally authorized to work in the United States, an individual must have a US passport, a green card, a driver's license, a government issue ID, social security card, or a birth certificate. The introduction of the I-9 form. The 1986 Immigration Reform and Control Act, ICRA, created rudimentary employee verification known as the I-9 form that every new employee must fill out. The I-9 form is a form that's filled out by prospective employees, and it captures information such as social security numbers, date of birth, names, passport numbers, birth certificate numbers, anything to verify that you're legally authorized to work in the United States. And what is E-Verify? E-Verify is a system used by employers to verify an employee's eligibility to work. And how is E-Verify used? So an employer uses the internet-based application E-Verify, which connects to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. They take the information that comes from the I-9 form, plugs it into the E-Verify system, which then does a check on the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's databases. If there is a match, it comes back confirming and clearing that employee to work and to be eligible to work for that company. If there's any mismatch of information, a flag comes back to the employer not confirming employment eligibility. Right after, the employer and the employee must work it out to clear all flags before that potential employee can be employed with the company. E-Verify is a voluntary system used by employers to match this employment eligibility. From 2010 to 2012, the number of employers who use E-Verify had doubled. In 2005, according to the Texas Tribune, SB 3724 was passed by State Senator Charles Schwartner, requiring that all state agencies and public universities must have the information go through E-Verify before an individual can be employed with the state agency or a public university. Now, this was made mandatory in the state of Texas. Since its introduction, E-Verify has come with some known limitations that affect employment eligibility. The most pressing being information mismatch, where a potential employee's information comes back as not verified by the system, causing that employee either to not get hired or a delay in the hiring process. Ethical dilemmas. With the idea of making E-Verify mandatory for employment authorization, the potential of incentivizing identity theft is one key ethical dilemma. Because the system cannot verify if someone's identity has been stolen, making it mandatory will incentivize others who do not have legal authorization to work in the United States to try to steal identities just to pass the system. The second ethical dilemma would be unnecessary emotional distress due to information mismatch. Making the system mandatory and given the rate of information mismatch, unnecessary emotional distress can come to a potential employee if they are legally authorized to work in the United States, but the system does not find them as authorized. And third but not least, there's potential discrimination by making E-Verify mandatory, where potential employees can be discriminated not based on their qualifications, race, or gender, but if their status comes back as authorized or not authorized through the E-Verify system, which has known mismatch information issues. Discussion questions. Question 1. Do you support the implementation of enhancements such as photo matching and access to additional government databases to improve the accuracy of the E-Verify system? Why or why not? I do not support the implementation of enhancements such as photo matching, and the reason is because the system as it is already has known issues with verifying information, just static information inputted into the system. Adding photo recognition can add an additional layer of mismatching information. And one key thing is the change in facial structure. For example, if the recent or the most recent photo I have is several years ago, things such as facial hair, beards, hairstyles can play a part in having information mismatch, which can further delay a process in the employment. Question 2. If you were the owner of a small business, would you use the E-Verify system to screen prospective workers? Why or why not? No, I would not. And the reason is because as a small business, it's more expensive for me to have to go through a verification process and also do recruitment if the E-Verify system comes back with a false mismatch. Now, if it does verify the employee, great, that works. However, weighing the risks versus the benefits, it's easier for a small company or a small business to do their own manual verifications of employment rather than have the E-Verify system go through. And third, would you favor mandatory use of the E-Verify system at large corporations and government agencies? Why or why not? Yes, I would favor using the E-Verify system at large corporations and government agencies. And this is because for large organizations, it's hard to keep track of all the employees and what their eligibility statuses are. The E-Verify tool, while it has known limitations and some flaws, provides an easier way to manage a larger scale of employees. Also, when it comes to government agencies, given that government agencies are trying to make this mandatory to ensure that people are legally authorized to work in the US, it would have a bad public look to have unauthorized employees working in government agencies. So definitely E-Verify can be a system used at large corporations and government agencies that can be a benefit to them. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.